Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Moon Coven. So today we're going to be talking about herbology and more importantly how to begin your journey into using herbs into your practice. So before we begin, I do have a couple of books I'd like to recommend. Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. A lot of witches seem to have this book and I can say it's actually pretty valuable. However, it does lack in completion. So me and Scott Cunningham, we don't really see eye to eye as far as practices in witchcraft and different things like that goes. However, this book is pretty great for beginners to learn the ways of herbs and correspondences and how to use them magically. However, if you're looking for cursing herbs or hexing herbs or anything like that, you will not find that here. But it's still a good book to have on your bookshelf just to kind of reference from. The next book I have is called The Herbalist Bible. Now this is a reprint from a very old version. They reprinted it and it's actually a pretty good read. Now it doesn't go into how to use herbs magically. It kind of goes into the folklore and how to use it medicinally and what the herbs can be used for and how to identify them and certain things like that, which is all very important in herbology, especially if you're going to go out and go forage for your own herbs. That's very, very, very important to learn about the folklore, the history, and how to identify it properly and what precautions you can take and how you can use that medicinally. So again, this is the Herbalist Bible. It's a reprint from a really, really old version, but that is the author right there. And it's actually a pretty good read. So if you do want to pick yourself up a copy, could go ahead and do that. The last book I wanted to recommend is The Green Witch. Now, I understand that, again, you will not find any curses or hexes or anything like that inside a book like this. However, a lot of the information was pretty valuable. I did like the Magic of Trees section, which I really did enjoy. So that's The Green Witch. And this book's pretty popular. I see it around a lot. This was actually a gift. And I got some pretty good information out of it. The Magic of Trees, again, was my favorite section of this book. So even if a book doesn't really correlate to your craft and what you want to practice, you could get some pretty good information out of it, even if you don't read the whole thing. So, on to some herbs. So where do witches get all of these different herbs from? So it depends on what you're looking for. There's different states of herbs. There's fresh, dried, or powdered. Now, that could determine if you're going to the grocery store or if you're going to the metaphysical store. Also, the type of herb is also going to determine that. So if it's something that is very difficult to find, like Spanish moss or mandrake root or something like that, you might have to go to an actual metaphysical store to get some of that things. However, if it's something like rosemary, basil, parsley, something like that, the grocery store is your best friend. So the grocery store offers all three. It offers fresh, dried, and powdered. You have to go into the produce section or go into the seasoning aisle and they will have all that stuff there. Now, mind you, they will not have a lot of the herbs that witches like to use. However, they will have a great, vast majority of what you need. And honestly, the herbs that I'm going to mention in this video are very beginner and all of them can be found at the grocery store. Look for natural tea packets, okay? Sometimes teas will have just pure peppermint or a chamomile or just lavender. Those are great. Pick those up because you could use those tea packets. Just tear them open and there you go. There is your herb. Now, herbal and metaphysical stores will have dried or powdered herbs. Now, they will have more of a selection of herbs, generally. However, you don't always need to go to the metaphysical store and pay top dollar for, your basil or your lavender or something like that. Most of the time, grocery stores will have that stuff. The dollar store. The dollar store is your best friend. First of all, go to the spice rack and they have a bunch of different herbs, powdered and dried, and they're all $1. You cannot beat that. Especially the grocery store can range anything from fresh herbs to being $3, $4 to being powdered, which is, about $2 to $3. The dollar store is, of course, $1. So that is actually a really, really great place to go. Herbal safety. Herbal safety is super, super important. Research any herb before using in any type of way, whether you're going to burn it, whether you're going to drink it in a tea or use it topically or put it in an oil. Research every herb that you are using, every powder, everything that you are using, and make sure that it's safe to use it in the manner that you are going to use it. Do not pick or forage anything before you know what it is. Sometimes a flower or herb will look very pretty and you'll want to pick it and it'll react with the skin. Be very careful. Just because it's grown from the earth does not mean that it's all safe and to consume whenever you want to. It's very, very dangerous to pick and, use herbs that you have no idea what the side effects could be and what the herb is used for. Study herbal combinations as well as the herb itself. So study things like, if you mix things together, is it going to produce a reaction that is going to be harmful to me? Study herbal correspondences, medical uses, and herbal combinations as well. Study how to use herbs. Okay, there are plenty of herbology courses out there that are not that expensive, but you just have to be smart about it. You don't have to pay for an herbology course, you just have to be smart about it, okay? Read a bunch of books, research on the internet, okay? We are in a world of technology and information at our fingertips. There should be really no excuse to identify plants before you pick them and to research their side effects. There are plenty of apps that do that now for us. So be very, very careful with herbs and how you plan to pick them. Now, foraging. Foraging is kind of going along with herbal safety, but I feel like I have to mention that because a lot of baby witches or witches that are new will go out to the woods and just pick anything they want without knowing the side effects and things like that. So foraging is not really for the beginner herbalist. I would really rather you go to the grocery store and get some herbs and study those before you go into the forest and range and forage for herbs to use in your practice. Always bring an offering when you're gonna go forage. So if you do plan on going foraging this season, always bring an offering. Just because a lot of people don't ask for permission, or this is just from a folk witch standpoint. I like to bring an offering to the woods just because I'm going to be taking stuff, so I don't want to leave something before I take anything, you know what I mean? So I go there with an apple and I leave it in the woods somewhere just as an offering to the land spirits, to the plant spirits, that hey, I'm here to pick some flowers, some herbs here, accept this offering in return. So it's kind of like you are paying your way for that. Never pick the whole lot of herbs. Okay, this is kind of a bioregion hazard. So a lot of the times you'll go into the forest and you'll see a nice little patch of vervain and there's only a little bit. Do not pick the whole thing. Even if there's a little bit and you need that much, don't pick it. Don't pick it all. Pick half, or not even half, a quarter. Pick a couple little flowers, just because if you pick the whole thing, it offsets that bioregion in that area, and you don't want to be that witch, okay? So don't take everything, don't be greedy, you definitely don't need that much. Plus next season, there will be more and more, especially if you don't affect the bioregion in that area. So just pick a couple of flowers, it's really all you need. Note down where it is and come back next season. So again, foraging is not really for the absolute beginner witch. I really strongly recommend you put off any foraging plans until you really study herbs and identify them. Now, if you do plan on going foraging this season, download a plant identification app on your phone. I really recommend Picture This. It's a really great app, and you could buy it for a whole year for like a really cheap price. Go to the woods, you take a picture of the plant in question, and it'll automatically identify it for you. It'll give you medicinal uses and sort of things like that. However, always cross-reference it with a Google search, so then you know exactly, okay, this is right information and this is wrong information. Also, go to websites that are approved by doctors. Don't go to websites that someone's writing a blog about this type of herb. Go to actual scientific websites about that specific flower, about that specific herb. So on to some beginner herbs. Now, all of these herbs that I'm going to list you can find at the grocery store. And this is in no way a complete list of correspondences. These herbs have so many different correspondences that you can go online and find your own, or you can make your own if you really want to. So don't think that these are the only things that these herbs can be used for. So on to my most favorite herb, that is rosemary. I use rosemary for everything. And this is a dried version of rosemary, but if you buy it fresh from a grocery store, this is what it will look like, except a lot more green. It's gonna look a lot more green and it's gonna smell just great. I love, love rosemary. Now this is dried rosemary. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like a bunch of little pine twigs, almost. Now, rosemary is ruled by the sun. Its element is air, and it's really great for protection, love, lust, healing, sleeping, dream work, spirit work. It's an all-around great herb, plus it replaces a lot of the herbs and spells that we need. For example, you don't have roses, use some rosemary. You don't have sage, use rosemary instead. It is the clear quartz of the herbal world. It's really, really valuable to have rosemary in stock, and I genuinely have a bunch of rosemary all the time because I use it for everything. I put a pinch of rosemary in all of my spells. It gives it that extra oomph. So next we have sage. This is how typically people will see sage. There's many different types of sage. This is white sage. In the store, you're going to kind of see it. This is more fresh type of sage, but that's kind of what the leaves look like. They'll have a velvety type of feel to them, especially when they are dry. It smells really good. Obviously, sage is for cleansing. That is the most popular herb to use, but it is ruled by Jupiter, element of air, and it is for vitality, cleansing, wisdom, protection, wishes, that sort of thing. So sage is really, really popular. A lot of people use it. Please make sure that it is ethically sourced. I always go to the grocery store to get some just because I would feel bad buying cleansing sticks, even though here's one right here. Anyways, mint. Mint is another great herb. Here it is kind of dry, but that is what you will find it. Fresh at the store is bundles like this. Now, mint is another great herb that I love to use a lot of, and there's a lot of different types of mints. There's peppermint, spearmint, a whole bunch of different types. Mint tea works great too, so if you cannot find leaves of mint at the store, get some peppermint tea, it works just as well. So it's ruled by Mercury, element of air, is good for money, lost, healing, protection, travel, spirit work, that sort of thing. I love using mint as offerings, like scent offerings to leave on my altar or in money spells. Is just really great because it almost looks like money. It resembles money. It's great for protection and an all-around great herb, just like rosemary or sage. So basil. Basil is next. I have two varieties of basil. Now, basil looks like mint when it's dry. However, if you smell it, it smells completely different, and you will notice right away if it's basil or mint. Mint has more of a spice type of smell, and basil more of an herb type of smell. And once you get into the herbs, you will kind of know what I'm talking about. They look really, really similar, but the smell is really different. And then I have some dried basil leaves. The dollar store, great resource, or dollar, and this type of herbs is really great for candle dressing because it's already done for you, it's already powdered. You don't have to get into the whole business of shredding it down and powdering it yourself. So basil is ruled by Mars, element of fire, love, money, protection. Money is a big one of basil. Basil is the money herb, okay? I know a lot of different herbs correspond with money, but basil is the money herb to use if you're using a money type of spell, a money bowl, anything like that. Put in some basil within. It's a really good fortune type of herb. Parsley. Parsley, really great herb. You could get it at the store almost anywhere. I only have parsley flakes. I ran out of fresh parsley, but So here's parsley flakes. They look almost the same as basil, except the color is a little lighter. And again, the smell is going to be different, and you're going to notice. So parsley, definitely a really good cooking herb. It's used a lot in cooking, but it's ruled by Mercury, element of air, and it's good for lust, protection, spirit work, and cursing. If you want to get an influence over someone, parsley is a really, really great herb for that. Parsley is a great herb for spirit work as well. It's a underworld type of herb, so it's really great for those type of practices. Next, we have cinnamon. This is a cinnamon stick. Obviously, you have seen these before. You can get these at the grocery store along with powdered cinnamon. Now, powdered cinnamon, and I bought this at the dollar store, I believe. Powdered cinnamon is great for making powders and things like that. So if you can notice that these are leaves and this isn't powder, you can get powdered herbs as well. I have powdered sage that I use a lot in making powders. So again, it depends on what you want to do with the herb. If you want to make a powder, I suggest getting a powdered herb, because then you don't have to waste your time with drying out the herb and powderizing it to form a nice consistent powder. If you're making a blend, use some leaves, use some dried herbs. If you're making cleansing sticks, use fresh herbs. So it really depends on what you are doing. But so cinnamon sticks like these, I would use in oils or spells or different things like that. And cinnamon like this, I like to use in powders or dressing candles or certain things like this. So cinnamon is ruled by the sun, element of fire, and it's good for spirituality, success, healing, power, love, psychic powers. It's a really great herb because not only does it have a lot of correspondences, it's really easy to use, and you could even burn cinnamon sticks like incense. So it's really, really great and easy to use and beginner friendly. Bay leaves. I have them in these cookie tins, so recycle everything. But I'm getting low here too. Bay leaves. Everyone has seen bay leaves, and everyone knows the traditional witchcraft type of spell where you take out a bay leaf and you write an intention onto it and you burn it. Bay leaves are really, really great for basic wish magic, banishing, that sort of thing. But they're ruled by the sun, element of fire, strength, courage, truth, honor, love, protection, and power. So if you want a really good truth spell, write down a person's name on a piece of bay leaf and burn it and focus on them telling you the truth, and that will happen. Bay leaves are really great. They're kind of like rosemary. You can use them for basically anything, and bay leaves are super cheap at the store. You could get a whole bag of them for a couple of bucks. So definitely go out and get yourself some bay leaves. Thyme. Thyme is the last one. Unfortunately, I don't have any fresh thyme. I only have dried, powdered thyme. Now, thyme kind of comes in stalks like rosemary, except the leaves will be very, very tiny. So thyme is ruled by Venus, element of water, and it's good for banishing, psychic power, purification, and health. Really powerful banishment herb, okay? More powerful than sage. Sage is more of a cleansing herb. It'll cleanse the energy around you. Thyme will banish anything. So thyme is a really good banishment herb to have around, just in case, you know, shit gets too real. You need to use some thyme. So that is basically my beginner herbology course. Thank you all for joining me. Follow me on all of my social media down below. Comment on this video if you liked it, if you want more, maybe more you know, experienced herbs or more cursing herbs or grocery store hauls or something like that effect. I would really love to do that. So anyways, follow me on all my social media, and until next time, have a lovely rest of your day.